from the Digital Media Center on the campus of Southern Oregon University in Ashland, Oregon. This is Ramping Up Your English, an educational program for intermediate level English language learners. Here's your host for Ramping Up Your English, John Letts.
Welcome to Ramping Up Your English, winner of the Southern Oregon Television Program of the Year and the Best Education Show for 2017. I'm producer and host John Letts. Ramping Up Your English is an educational support program for intermediate level English learners. If you've already passed those beginning stages of learning English and you want to reach higher levels of English proficiency, this program is designed to meet your needs and get you to your goal. Ramping Up Your English is for English learners from all language backgrounds and for people of all ages. We take a content-based approach to helping you reach higher levels of English proficiency. Our current thematic unit is Native Americans. This is segment 1 of episode 86. In our previous episode, we featured a video entitled Ancient Ones. And that video spanned the arrival of people in America to the building of the first earth mound cities in Louisiana. One of those cities is an archaeological site known today as Poverty Point. Now, Poverty Point is a United Nations World Cultural Site and a national monument. Let's learn more about this in this video from Ambrose Productions.
Sometime around 5,000 years ago, a group of Native American people, known today as the Poverty Point culture, lived along the lower Mississippi River and developed a unique ethnographic identity. They hunted upland game such as deer with stone-tipped spears hurled by an atlatl, a device that looked like this. They fished the adjacent rivers and lagoons. We know this from the beautiful plumage used to lure their nets. And they gathered roots from the plants growing in the nearby swamps. Then these hunter-gatherers embarked on something never done before. They figured out how to build a city built according to a master blueprint.
So they're choosing this spot. Again, it all comes back to food. For me, the story is how they sustain themselves. And in an abundance when you consider the massive earthworks, because these folks weren't just sitting around taking it easy. You know, they're moving probably 1 million cubic yards of earth out here, which is a Corps of Engineers sized project. So there has to be enough within this environment to fuel that kind of an economy and corporate, work that they're doing.
The scale of what these people did was staggering. The city was formed by 6 concentric earthen embankments that now stand 6 feet high and are 140 to 200 feet apart. They are separated by ditches or swales where the earth was removed to build ridges. From end to end, the outermost terrace is 4,000 feet in length, the inner nearly 2,000 feet. The terraces are divided into 6 sectors by 5 cross-cutting aisles or corridors. In the middle is a vast central plaza. Surrounding the terraces are 5 earthen mounds, including the giant bird mound. Centrally placed, the bird mound is over 75 feet high. From head to tail, it is 710 feet long, and from wingtip to wingtip, 640 feet. When archaeologists took aerial photos, what they saw were clearly the remains of a city built of earth. It just didn't seem possible. Throughout all of human history, advanced agriculture had always been necessary for cultures to move from nomadic to urban societies. Diana Greenlee has been studying Poverty Point.
When archaeologists first came here and started doing some excavations, and they discovered how large it is and just how amazing it is, they initially assumed that it had to be farmers, because in their experience they had not come across hunter-gatherers who could do or who did this sort of thing. And it wasn't until they actually started looking at the subsistence remains that it became clear that these were not farmers. It's just really amazing that a group of hunter-gatherers could construct all of this in a relatively short period of time. And it has really challenged anthropologists' assumptions about hunter-gatherer society and what they can accomplish.
Although no burial remains of the Poverty Point people have ever been found, many trade goods from thousands of miles away have been unearthed. This was clearly a trade center of great power existing in North America long before the birth of Christ. In addition to these trade goods, many small objects of art have been found. Beads, pendants in various geometric and animal shapes, hundreds of small decorative ball objects, effigies and drawings of cats and owls, a fine collection of spear points, and most remarkably, small female figures baked from clay. Poverty Point National Monument truly is one of the great wonders of the ancient world. However, that this city is found on the delta of North America's greatest river, the Mississippi River, is not a surprise, as many of the world's early civilizations were located on river deltas. Poverty Point National Monument is situated in a large geological system called a coastal plain. A coastal plain is defined as a low relief region of largely undisturbed sedimentary strata that dip gently in the seaward direction. Such areas generally have well-developed drainage systems. The Gulf Coast coastal plain, which extends from the Florida Panhandle to Texas, is influenced by the Appalachian and Ozark mountain ranges. At the time of the Poverty Point people, this coastal plain was dominated by prairie grasses, but were in time replaced by the hard and softwood forests seen here today. A unique feature of the coastal plain is the Mississippi River embayment. It represents a break in the former continuous Appalachian mountain chain. When the supercontinent of Pangaea pulled apart 95 million years ago, it created a tectonically active rift valley. That valley is where the Mississippi River flows today. It is the most important continental drainage system in the United States. Indeed, all rivers east of the Rockies and west of the Appalachians flow into the Mississippi River. Nearing the Gulf of Mexico, the river flow slows, dropping vast amounts of sediments in a plumed-shaped formation called the delta. The delta is characterized by shallow tributaries and swamps. It was along the banks of the Mississippi River near the delta that the Poverty Point people chose to build their fabulous ancient city. But don't expect to see the Mississippi River near the ancient city today, as the Mississippi's channel and delta are ever-changing.
You're watching Ramping Up Your English. This is segment 2 of episode 86. Now, we're studying Native Americans, and so far we've learned about their populating the Americas, settling new land as ice sheets melted and glaciers retreated, and the building of earth mound cities by hunter-gatherers. Now let's look at some language functions that we use. We can use these to communicate about events, actions, and situations from the past. So today we introduce the past progressive verb tense. Now we need a helping verb again, but this time it's in the form of the verb be. Now, since the past progressive is what we're talking about, that helping verb will be in the past tense. So the helping verbs will be was or were, depending on whether the subject of the action or situation is singular or plural. So we use this helping verb with the present participle of the main verb. So that's what I'm telling you, the present participle of the main verb. So this is the first time we've used the present participle, but this part of the verb is easy. The present participle is formed by adding ing to the end of the simple present tense of the verb. So let's go on to the next one, and here's some examples. Let's do a few of these examples, and you'll see that this is not as hard as it sounds. In the Mississippi Basin, hunter-gatherers were building earthen mounds before farming was practiced. Widespread trade was occurring throughout North America, and social roles were changing during the Hopewell exchange. So what is this past progressive tense good for? Well, much like the past perfect, the past progressive can tell what was being done in the past in relation to other past events, actions, or situations. Now, the past progressive can be especially effective in relating past events during past situations. Now, let's look at some of those examples again. Hunter-gatherers were building earthen mounds before farming was practiced. Widespread trade was occurring throughout North America. Social roles were changing during the Hopewell exchange. Now, as we learn about the way things were in the past, we'll often encounter verbs in the past progressive tense. The past progressive is powerful when relating more than one event or situation that occurred in the past, like the building of the earthen mounds at Watson Break and Poverty Point in Louisiana. We use the helping verbs was or were, and then the main verb in its ing form, the present participle. There is one trick to making the ing form of some verbs. Consider the verb occur. We used the verb in an earlier example. It ends in the letter R, but when we make it an ing verb, we double the ending letter and it becomes occurring. Okay, you don't say it like that, but that's the way it looks. The last letter R doubles. Also, most verbs that end in the letter E drop the E before adding the ing. Now, here are a few examples. Run, running, sit, sitting, chip, chipping. And those endings in E, settle, settling, explore, exploring, trade, trading. So while the present participles all end in ing, some present tense verbs must undergo changes when they become an ing verb. Just be aware that this can happen, and if you forget to double that last letter or drop an E when using a word processor, you'll get a red line under the word, so don't sweat the exceptions. With this lesson on the past progressive verb tense, we end segment 2 of episode 86. You're watching Ramping Up Your English. We begin segment 3 with another look back in time in North America. Now, we've learned a great deal about early Americans from the objects they left behind, and now from the cities they built. Another hint about these ancient people is the art they left on rocks. Let's watch this video about petroglyphs and other rock art. On the bank of the Snake River, where Oregon, Washington, and Idaho meet, there's a message left over 1,000 years ago at a place called Buffalo Eddy, a sacred place to some. These human figures were painted into volcanic rock by people we don't know, for reasons equally unknown. Petroglyphs depicting various objects can be seen on rocks throughout the American West, including some on cave walls. The oldest are believed to be 2,000 years old. Visitors, including photographers, are asked to remain in their boats, a measure that makes for some shaky video, but may protect this priceless art. Early Americans left us no written record, but they did leave tangible records of their lives. While rock art endures to this day, drawings on animal hide don't endure for such time span. The carving of historical events in stone was a well-developed skill in Mesoamerican cities. While often precise and elaborate, there's little of the personal touch seen in the renderings further north. Mayan writing is better understood since archaeologists have deciphered much of their written language, thanks to works like these in the Templo de Inscripciones in Tikal. Rock art like this jaguar doesn't need deciphering. Carvings of animals and deities are found throughout Mesoamerica. Animal figures are prevalent in the rock art found in the American Southwest. In their illustrated book, Messages on Stone, William Michael Stokes and William Lee Stokes share examples of pictographs and petroglyphs found on canyon walls and other lonely places in the western United States. Rock art of hunting scenes is only one theme found in Western rock art as featured in this book. Each page features a different theme, this one focusing on animals. The themes are often apparent, but we're left wondering their purpose. Are they records of the animals found in a place, a rendering for religious purposes, or a claiming of territory? We may never know. We can guess at a variety of purposes, but let's not forget the sheer joy and satisfaction of merely creating art. A recent discovery of Native American art occurred during the construction of Interstate 70 through Utah. Numerous petroglyphs were discovered at an ancient settlement of Clear Creek Canyon. Clear Creek Canyon contains both painted-on pictographs and chiseled-out petroglyphs left by people we call the Fremont. While prehistoric hunters and gatherers used this canyon over 5,000 years ago, the Fremont culture more recently engaged in farming while producing distinctive pottery, dew-claw moccasins, and clay figurines. The state park was established in 1985 to preserve Clear Creek Canyon's treasury of rock art and archaeological sites. Visitors are invited to enjoy features like the Parade of Rock Art Trail, Canyon of Life, and the Hidden Secrets Trail. An intriguing and somewhat haunting approach to rock art is found in the book Before You Came This Way by Bird Baylor and illustrated by Tom Botti. The intrigue begins with these words: "You walk down this canyon, this place of high red cliffs and turning winds and hawks that float in the far white sky, and you wonder, am I the first one ever to come this way? And you wonder, is my footprint the first one ever to touch this sand?" With these words, the writer takes you on a journey. The images left on stone sparking your imagination, as it certainly did his. But then you see something which tells you, no, you're not the first.
Your brothers out of some long ago lost age pass this way too. You see their marks on canyon walls. Even the print of their hands is left, chipped deep in stone. The reds and yellows and blacks have been battered by 1,000 winds, washed by 1,000 rains. The pictures are dim now, half shadow. But you search the canyon for them, and here you see young hunters leap in the morning sun. The light still gleams on their arrows. High on a rock, someone drew tracks of all the birds he'd ever seen, and deer tracks, lion tracks, fox tracks, even a wandering path of tracks of men. Men going where? Searching for a better place for the tribe to make its home? Or for some newer hunting ground? Did pictures bring strength to the hunters? Did they bring luck? Was there some magic in the artist's hand? Of course, there's much more to this work than I've shared in this review. Thanks to the questioning mind of the writer and the great skill of the illustrator, you'll enjoy all the wonder that comes from pondering these messages left on stone so long ago. The stone that holds this art is found in abundance in the southwest region of the United States. Much of it is pecked into a feature called desert varnish, a thin, dark coating on a lighter colored rock. This geographic feature is found here along the Colorado River at Moab, Utah. These human figures were chipped into the rock at Mesa Verde National Park. New Mexico holds rock art as well. At Bandelier National Monument, the ruins of an ancient pueblo contain messages left on stone. The reconstructed kiva is for visitors, stretched out along a canyon. The ruins of former dwellings, now abandoned, bring many questions to mind. A sense of mystery envelops this place, mystery deepened by the rock art found here. At Newspaper Rock, multiple generations have literally left their mark on the rock. These human figures are believed to be the oldest rock art here. The hourglass shape of the human body is a common feature in rock art in this region. As time and history went on, newer figures were added to Newspaper Rock. We see wagon wheels and riders mounted on horses, perhaps an attempt by artists to grasp or at least record the rapid changes to his world. But then Native American life has always been about adapting to changes. I look at Newspaper Rock and I wonder what future conditions will be recorded on rock. If not here, where?
With those ancient messages, we end this episode of Ramping Up Your English. I love to hear from viewers. You can send me an email at letscreatepro@gmail.com. Be sure to visit my website, letscreate.org, to see the support materials for this episode, including the videos we featured. Click on the link to the Native American unit on the home page and then navigate to the episode 86 page. You can watch and even download this episode and more from archive.org/details/roguetv. All the episodes are there. Enter Ramping Up Your English in the search box and choose the episode you want. Ramping Up Your English can be seen on RVTV on Channel 15 on the Ashland Home Network and on Channel 182 in the rest of Southern Oregon on Charter Cable. You can stream Ramping Up Your English free from rvtv.sou.edu. I want to thank my director, Denise Ross, and my talented and dedicated crew, and I want to thank you, our viewers. All of you help make this program an award winner. Join me next time for Ramping Up Your English. I'm John Letts.
You've been watching Ramping Up Your English, a support program for intermediate level English language learners. Learn more. Visit our website at letscreate.org. You can also watch or download today's program at archive.org/details/roadtv. Join us next time on RBTV Voices for Ramping Up Your English.